For those who haven't been following, here's the update. 18-year-old football player out on Long Island with people he called his friends. Body found in the water 2 days later. And that's the part everybody agrees on. Everything after that turned into a full-blown online war. Activists moved in, content creators started pointing the fingers, and racial narratives got built in real time while people who actually knew Nolan were getting threatened for telling a different story. Today, we're walking through the clips that show how fast the tragedy becomes a product and what happens when the people closest to him refuse to play along. We start with the audio that set half the internet on fire.
Sam here with a Nolan Xavier Wells update. And Gianetta Brantley has done God's work, and she has separated the audio from the emergency call. And just a trigger warning, you guys, this could be the incriminating evidence we've been looking for. Listen to this.
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our village pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can you all please come? We have a membership. Shut up! Shut the fuck up!
It's really hard to hear. Use your own ears. See if you hear what she transcribed here. Again, at the very end, allegedly, a strong allegedly here, you hear, damn it, Bart. But Bart was supposed to be out of town and not there. So I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know if this is a break in the case, but Attorney Ben Crump, please listen to this audio. Let us know what you think, guys, but this does not sound good at all. I love you guys. Secret Service Sam out Samson for president of the world.
Can we cover it up? You killed him, I heard. He's already dead. It was in the transcript. That's the version that's being pushed. Cleaned up audio from a CTO call, timestamps and all. Now, whether those words are real or not still has to be proven. But watch what the activist side does the second something like this appears. They don't wait. They don't ask for the full recording. They treat it like a guilty plea and start assigning roles. That's a pattern that keeps failing. What's the story first? Demand the facts catch up later. And when the facts don't cooperate, just keep the emotions high. Now, if everything turns out to be true, I have no problem reporting that. If it turns out to be false, we'll have the same no problem. Now, from alleged audio to direct accusations against one of the friends.
So I hear people saying that Warren Hudson should sue me for slander. Now, the only way you can sue someone for slander and ruining your reputation if they've told a lie on you. A lie. So Warren Hudson, if you feel that I, Stony Love, have told a lie on you and your involvement in the Nolan Wells case, by all means, by all means. You have been my focus from day one when I didn't even know your name. You're the last one to have his keys, his phone, and you're the one that's doing all the talking. You're giving a little Chris Wyatt vibes to me. Your eyes tell me everything I need to know. Dangerous man. Narcissistic too.
So, obviously, there's a formal picture of Warren Hudson and Nolan in tuxedos that she's looking at and deciding Warren's eyes tell her everything. Last one with the keys, last one with the phone, dangerous, narcissistic, she adds. This is what happens when the narrative needs a villain more than it needs the truth. A young man who was with Nolan becomes the face of the crime before any investigation finishes. No trial, no evidence released, just the vibes in the photo. Now, if it turns out to be what it is, then again, we have no problem reporting that. Hey, he had direct involvement after the investigation. If this energy got applied evenly, though, half the internet would be offline. But it only seems to show up when it fits a certain political script. Now, the black content creators start eating each other alive over the boat story.
And he's presenting this footage as exclusive footage that proves the truth. And I'm sitting there like, huh, yo, this dummy, what? Yeah, we know that Nolan went to the Horn Island with them together. Yeah, that's the whole point. What are you talking about? Like, how does this footage prove anything?
He's getting onto the boat.
Because you dumbass. He did that because they made it seem like they took Nolan out to a random island and he was only with 3 other people. That was the narrative going around. So that's why Tatum decided to show the footage of them getting on the boat so you can see that it's a lot more people out there than just people taking one black guy to a random small island. You dumbass.
And they took 3 boats out. It wasn't just one. It wasn't just Nolan and 3 and 4 boys. It was a multitude of people on several different boats. And some of the boys that they're accusing wasn't even on the boat that Nolan was on. But let me show you from the vantage point where I have the video to prove that I'm here where I say I am.
That's why he showed the video.
Here's the angle that you're gonna see on the footage. It's just from probably that boat to, maybe about 30, 40 feet here to the right. And this is where the video is showing how many people were actually out there, actually getting on the boats. So therefore it debunks very clearly that it was only Nolan and 4 boys.
Is this man slow? Yo, before I go in, can anybody confirm whether or not Officer Tatum has an intellectual disability? Because if he does, I don't want to go like too crazy on him, bruh.
He might not, but you do. You fat motherfucker.
Oh man, my guy TJ, he don't pull no punches. All right, Poetic Flacco, I believe is his name, pushing one version of the boats. TJ is hitting back with footage showing multiple boats and asking the question out loud. Is this man slow? His words. This is the part a lot of people don't want to sit with. The loudest voices claiming to speak for the community are arguing over evidence while the actual friends of the dead kids are getting death threats for saying race wasn't the factor. When your first priority is winning the narrative, as the first guy tried to do, instead of protecting the truth, you end up doing the same thing you claim to hate, using a black body as content. Now, even inside the group that usually pushes back, the pressure is showing.
So if you're easily offended as a Republican, get out. This video ain't for you. This is my problem with what I would call the performative black conservative. People like Officer Tatum, especially when we talk about the Nolan Wells case. With some black conservatives, it feels like every single problem in black America gets reduced to black people did it to themselves. No history, no context, no nuance. Here's what those type of Republicans refuse to acknowledge. There is a reason that some black Americans wonder whether race played a role when you have a young black man surrounded by white Americans and he ends up dead under circumstances people have questions about. That doesn't mean you automatically accuse somebody of racism. It means you understand why the question gets asked. So we have to remember that America does have a racial history. Pretending that racism never existed or pretending that history has absolutely no effect on how people interpret situations today is intellectually dishonest, and that's my issue with Officer Tatum. He seems to apply race selectively. When black people bring up race, suddenly everybody's playing the victim. Y'all are playing the victim card. But then race becomes perfectly relevant when it supports whatever political point he wants to make. You cannot have it both ways. You can love America and still admit that America has flaws. You can also reject victimhood, which I do, without pretending injustice never happens, Officer Tatum. That's why this conversation between people like Tatum and D.L. Hughley gets so heated. Black people do not need conservatives constantly lecturing us about how terrible we supposedly are as people. What we need is honesty. And honesty means rejecting racial paranoia while also refusing to act like racism just magically disappeared, because that is not how it happened in history. That is not how it's happening today. Keep the BS out the way. UD.
So my guy says, loves Officer Tatum, but still feels some black voices refuse to call out racism, even when they think it's there. The tension is real, but notice what's missing from most of these conversations. The actual friends who are on that island. Their words keep getting treated like a problem instead of the closest thing we have to the primary source material. When lived experience from the people who knew him gets labeled as the wrong kind of black, the ideology has already decided the outcome. And then, while all that fighting is happening, you got regular people getting destroyed for clicks.
They're lying to you about Nolan Wells, and I can prove it to you. These investigators, these people that say that they are investigating the case on the internet sleuths, they are lying to you, and I can prove it to you in under 3 minutes. These investigators have taken a video from a man that lives in Missouri, nowhere near where Nolan Wells lives, and decided that this video must be about Nolan when it clearly is not.
The way I see it is they have one of two choices. One, they can make things right, or two, I leak everything.
So Brad puts out that video, and all of these mega influencers start putting it on their platform, saying that he's talking about Nolan Wells when he's talking about a personal issue. I have directly been in contact with Brad. This had nothing to do with Nolan Wells. And it gets even better because these people are assuming that Brad must be involved in some way. Brad was working the night that Nolan went missing, hundreds of miles away, and he literally didn't know Nolan Wells or anybody involved in this horrific accident or whatever it was. He didn't know anybody there, but it seems to me because Brad is white and he posted a video that was vague about something completely unrelated, that now all of these internet sleuths have taken it upon themselves to believe that he is involved in Nolan's murder. And I am saying that they believe he's involved in a murder, even though we don't know that a murder has occurred, because to them, that's what they're saying, that they're trying to solve the case. The problem with that is this was so easy for them to just find out. They could have reached out to Brad and said, hey, where do you live? What is this video about? What are you talking about? But instead they ran to their platforms and just made up stories surrounding this vague video of a white man who gets on camera and is speaking towards something happening in his personal life that has nothing to do with Nolan Wells. And that right there, that's where I have a problem. Because if you think that these investigators really have the best interest of the case, the best interest of all of you who are listening and believing everything they say, then I need you guys to realize that these people are not doing their due diligence. And this sort of mob mentality around a vague video is dangerous. This is actually digital, I don't know what to call it. Like it's like a digital assault of sorts, and it all could have been cleared up with a single message.
So a man in Missouri posts a random video. Internet investigators decide he must be connected to Nolan's death. He's hundreds of miles away, working, zero connection. Still gets flooded with death threats. You know, of course they call it research. It's content forming with a dead teenager as the bait, in my opinion. The same people who lecture about due process and now rushing judgment somehow, you know, a rushing a judgment somehow lose the principle the second the story can be made racial. That selective morality is the real tale. Now, the people who actually knew him finally speak. Y'all, we actually got a chance to hear from him last night. Let's see what this adds.
Do you think Benjamin Crump being involved in this case made it better or worse?
100,000 times % worse. Because why on the Tuesday after where has your civil rights been broken? Where has it been shown? You brought Benjamin Crump to stir up a community that's already tight-knit. Yeah, we might not be best friends with everybody, but I promise, if you're talking about Ocean Springs as a whole, Ocean Springs is going to have Ocean Springs back, 110%. We back each other. Everybody I've seen, we back each other. And for them to push this narrative and really push it just shows me is like you have no idea who you're dealing with or who you're messing with. And I think he's taking the grieving parents and manipulating and turning this and making it sound all bad.
So Nolan's best friend, man, Crump made it 100,000 times worse, he says. He's been called white, cast out, says the only people who showed up for him were the white side of his family. Now I'm saying this based on everything that Linda B added to this. Make sure you take the time to read it. But that one statement should stop the entire conversation cold. The people who shared holidays and football in real life with Nolan are saying that racial forming is false, and they're the ones being punished for it. When the activist machine needs a certain story, the friends become the enemy. That's not justice. That's brand management, man. And unfortunately, we have a body attached, and a young man is gone. His friends are under attack for refusing to turn his death into a political prop. Innocent people are getting digitally lynched because the clicks were good. And the loudest voices still won't slow down long enough to ask whether the story they're selling matches the people who actually lived it. That's the part that should bother you the most, more than any single audio clip. We've reached the place where truth from people closest to the victim is treated as betrayal, and a preferred narrative is treated as sacred. That inversion doesn't protect Black life. It uses it. If the goal was ever justice, the first step would be listening to the ones who knew him instead of the ones who needed him to mean something else. Now, if evidence does arrive and everything that these friends are saying is false, here in the kingdom, we have no problem reporting that. Hey, we came back with all the evidence, and everything that they said or seemingly seemed like came back as false. So I want you to leave the word unspoken in the comments if you caught what most people will definitely scroll past. Justice is turned back, and righteousness stands far away, for truth has stumbled in the public squares. This is Isaiah 59:14. Y'all be safe. Go check on somebody today. You can quite literally be saving their life. Peace.